There's a bunch of new image generation models popping up lately, and I wanted to see how some of them compare side by side using the same prompt without too much fiddling. So in this video, I'm comparing Image-01 on the HaiLuo MiniMax platform, Kolors 2.0 on Kling, SeeDream 3.0 on Dreamina, and a model that's been around for a while, Flux.1 Pro, and I went for realistic photo style images for this comparison. For every scene or subject, I gave each model the same prompt, then I picked my favorite variation from the results, and then put them all together so you can see the results for yourself. Let's take a look. First up, we have this couple having a moment on a rooftop scene with a pink sunset in the background and a cityscape. HaiLuo went hard with the pink sunset, gave us a lot of backlight, which gives us not much detail on the characters' faces, but that may be okay. Kolors 2.0 didn't really get into the pink at all, and it gave us a different interpretation. It looks like she is not happy and letting him know about it. The SeeDream 3.0 generation came out nice and clean. We can see the characters' faces. We've also got the pink sunset, nice little light orb going on there. Flux.1 blurred the background quite a bit, especially the buildings, and our pink sky sunset definitely giving off a lot of backlight, but we can still make out our characters' faces pretty well. Now, I didn't try to re-roll these a dozen times, tweak the prompt for each model, do any inpainting or editing, and I also didn't upscale any of these images. So these are like first drafts that could probably be improved with a little tweaking to the prompt, maybe some inpainting for some small issues, and upscaling to increase the resolution. Here I was trying to get some text in the image with a handwritten sticky note on a refrigerator. HaiLuo got the job done, but it decided to put the text on the note in quotes, which is weird. Kolors 2.0 didn't do so well with the text on the sticky note, but everything else looks pretty good. SeeDream 3.0 put the refrigerator in a plausible looking scene. I think the sticky note is huge on that freezer door, but it did get the text right. Flux.1 Pro did okay with the note. It avoided issues with proportions by just zooming right into this one spot on the refrigerator. The background's nice and blurry, as we've come to expect from Flux.1 Pro, and it decided that the red magnet holding the note didn't necessarily have to be a little red round magnet. It could be a red strawberry, which now that I look at it, SeeDream used a piece of red tape, not a magnet. Now this is supposed to be a municipal worker painting a crosswalk on a quiet street. HaiLuo got the basic concept. We've got a worker, he's got some kind of equipment there, although I'm not sure it's accurate to what you'd use to paint a crosswalk. I also don't know that they'd put the traffic cones on top of the white paint. Maybe he hasn't started yet, he's getting ready to freshen up. Way off in the background, it looks like is the rest of his crew. I'm not sure what they're doing. Kolors 2.0 got everything we asked for in the image. Again, I'm not sure about the equipment he's using or the placement of these road cones, but it looks at least plausible, and the shadows on the worker and the piece of equipment there look pretty good, although over on the left side, the shadows being created by these road cones, they seem awful tall. I don't know what SeeDream has this guy doing. He's down there with a paintbrush. He's also got his piece of equipment, and then he's got what looks like a paint can on two of the white stripes, some random road cones that are on the stripes, and I don't know if this yellow sign over here is an arrow or a bird flying away or what's going on. Flux.1 Pro gave us the oddest looking equipment to be painting this crosswalk. I can't figure out what this hockey stick looking thing is that's coming off the machine and laying on the ground, and it went a little crazy with nonsensical traffic signs everywhere. Here we're supposed to have a retired fellow watering plants on his balcony. HaiLuo just could not figure out how a watering can is supposed to work. Again, this is the best of the 4 variations that it gave me. I'm not sure what's going on up at his hands, but I think the bigger issue is the water is spraying out the bottom of the watering can and getting our guy all wet. He's not going to be happy in a minute. Kolors has the older guy on the balcony with his plants and the world's tiniest watering can that I guess is like a glass thing? I don't know. SeeDream probably did the best with what a watering can is and how it's supposed to work, although it still looks a little bit small to me, and the image overall just seems a little washed out or overexposed. The other models I just think did a better job with the color and lighting. Flux.1 Pro struggled with the watering can too. It looks more like maybe some kind of a teapot, and it seems like he's using a towel to hold the handle. I don't know what's happening there. This is supposed to be a runner on a foggy early spring morning, nice and chilly, running alongside a river. HaiLuo seems to have our runner running in the grass right next to the path, or at least on the very edge of the path, but it does a really nice job with the lighting and this dew on the grass in the foreground. I guess we could say he just moved to the edge of the path because someone else is coming. Colors went with a wider shot, but at least our runner is on the path, and it did a really great job at capturing this cold, crisp, early morning, sunrise, early spring sort of thing. SeeDream 3 also did really well at capturing that crisp, maybe frost on the grass kind of early morning, early spring thing. I'm just not sure about this little patch of fog or smoke or whatever it is under the runner's back foot. Maybe he's going so fast his shoe's smoking. And then Flux.1 Pro is coming up from behind our runner, but it's got all the elements that we asked for. But it doesn't quite sell that crisp, cold morning vibe as well as some of the other models did. This one's supposed to be a woman sitting in a windowsill, sipping a cup of coffee, sunlight coming through the window, and a record player somewhere there in close proximity. And now I realize that somebody watching might be too young to know what a record player is, and that makes me feel old. Anyway, HaiLuo, like most of the other models, didn't really know how to have this person sitting in the windowsill to make a windowsill big enough for her to sit in, so it just has her sitting in front of the windowsill. But other than that, I don't see any major glaring problems that are jumping out at me. It checked all the boxes. Kolors 2.0 sort of checks all the boxes as well, except of course she's not sitting in a windowsill, she's sitting on a floor next to a really low window. If you study really hard, it seems like there's something not right about her legs and feet here. We only see one foot, the other one could be in a shadow, but when you really zoom in on that, it doesn't quite look like the anatomy's working the way it should. SeeDream 3.0 actually has her sitting on the windowsill. We've got the record player, we've got the window, the sunlight coming through. I don't know about these weird dust particles being lit up. That looks strange to me. And if we look really close, I'm not too sure about her fingers on the coffee mug, and in what looks like the reflection of the coffee mug, there's no fingers at all. Flux.1 Pro got all the elements in there. It decided to have her sitting on this edge of a bed or piece of furniture or whatever and put the record player in the windowsill. And again, if we look real close at her hand on the coffee mug, I think we might want to do some editing to refine that a little bit. This fella's in a suburban area, waiting at a bus stop right after a downpour. MiniMax set the scene well. He's supposed to be checking his watch, and that's definitely not a watch. Looks like a phone that maybe he dropped and got ran over, I'm not sure. And he is supposed to have some kind of a briefcase or something beside him, which he does. Kolors puts all the pieces together. It does look like he's checking his watch. There's a briefcase sitting next to him, but even though this is supposed to be like a detailed photograph type thing, our guy looks more like a claymation or a cartoon. There's just no detail in his face. SeeDream has our guy looking at his hand or his wrist. I don't know. It gets all the elements in, sort of checks all the boxes, but he's not really checking his watch. Flux.1 Pro has a similar sort of situation going on. He's looking down, but I'm not real sure what he's looking at or what's going on with his hands there. Flashback to the 1990s, we're supposed to have this house with a 96 Jeep Grand Cherokee in the driveway, a kid's bike laying over in the yard. HaiLuo gets most of it right, although that is not a Grand Cherokee, that is just a Cherokee. But we do have the 90s vibe. We got the bike laying over in the grass next to the driveway. Kling, on the other hand, doesn't seem to have a 90s vibe to me at all. That grass is just way too perfect and green or something. And even though this was the best of the 4 variations that Kling gave me, this house roof is weird. Those 2 dormer windows over there on the left, they're just, something is wrong here. These are not spaced right, or there needs to be another one or something. SeeDream comes out looking more realistic. There's a little bit of blurriness that could give us that 90s vibe. We've got the bike. We have a Jeep Cherokee, not a Grand Cherokee, in the driveway, but all the models seem to be struggling with that distinction. Flux.1 Pro definitely gives us a 90s vibe. I'm totally feeling it. And this is as close to the actual make, model, and year of vehicle that I asked for as any of the models have given us. Now we're looking for a scene with a facial expression that tells a story, sunlight coming through the window, middle-aged guy sitting in a modest kitchen. HaiLuo gives us a facial expression that's definitely telling a story. There's something behind that. I'm not sure about the hands. When hands are clasped together like this, it never looks right to me, even in actual photos of real people. So I have a little trouble figuring out whether those are right or not. Kolors 2.0 got us a guy sitting at a table in a modest kitchen. He's definitely contemplating something. It didn't clasp those hands together, so those look okay to me. And it does a nice job with some little flickers of light on the dust particles in the sunbeams or whatever you call that. SeeDream 3.0, however, did not do so great with those light on dust particles, whatever that's supposed to be. This looks more like there's cornflakes blowing off the refrigerator all over this guy. I'm not sure what's going on there. Other than that, it's okay, but I can't get past it being covered in all these speckles. Flux.1 Pro checked all the boxes. We've got a guy with a facial expression that's telling a story, the sunlight. We got the little dust particles in the light. That looks much better than what SeeDream did. Now the hands, I feel like there's there's something goofy there. Maybe just some refinement would fix that up. Here we are at the Dandy Motel, a 1960s era roadside motel in the desert, and it's supposed to have a vintage car or some vintage cars out there as well. HaiLuo gave me the Dandy Motel sign that I asked for. I'm not sure that it would be lit up when it's nice and bright outside. It also has the vacancy sign. It got that right. I'm not sure what's underneath the word motel, but that's okay. It gets the 60s vibe. The thing that really distracts me about this one is right here in the background at this break in the roof here. It seems like these mountains or hills or whatever they are too close. Maybe they need to be blurred out or lightened or something, but overall, not a bad job. Kling took a different approach to the color and lighting and came out with a different vibe that also feels like it could pass for that sort of 60s vibe. It gave me the Dandy Motel sign spelled correctly and the vacancy. Now for Kling, it's just got the vacancy lit and not the Dandy Motel. Maybe that comes on later. SeeDream did a nice job at making it look plausibly realistic. It got the wording and the signs right, and it didn't add anything extra that wasn't supposed to be in there. I'm not so sure about these painted parking lines on what looks like a gravel parking lot, but hey, maybe that's how they do it at the Dandy Motel. And here's Flux.1 Pro's version of the Dandy Motel. The spelling and the sign, that is all accurate, but it added this extra strange looking kind of vacancy sign on the roof of the motel. But other than that, and the sign being lit up in the daylight, I think this one could plausibly pass for realistic. Here we're trying to get a 1963 Chevy Impala exiting a car wash in Southern California on a sunny day. HaiLuo gets really close on the accuracy of the car, year, make, and model, but it just doesn't seem to understand how car washes work. If we're exiting the car wash, we probably shouldn't still have soap suds on the front, or this water running down the front fender like it's being sprayed from above when there's nothing up there to be applying water. Kolors 2.0 didn't seem to understand how a car wash works either. We're supposed to be exiting, but there's no one in the driver's seat, and there seems to be water spraying from underneath, and dripping from these rollers up above. SeeDream 3.0 came as close as any of them to having a car that was actually exiting the car wash, although there's no driver in the driver's seat, so I'm not quite sure how it's moving. And we would think it's moving because of this water cascading from these brushes behind it, but maybe it's just parked here and the owner's running through the car wash on foot. Flux also gives us a car with no driver, so we have to assume it's just sort of parked there. It looks like its rear driver's side is nearly up against the edge of this building. Not sure what's happening there. And while there's water on the ground, I don't really see any water happening in what I'm assuming would be the wash bay. Don't see any brushes or any equipment or anything happening there. That's my quick comparison of these four models. If you want to use the Image-01 HaiLuo MiniMax model, you can do that under image generation on HaiLuo. Kolors 2.0 is available in Kling. I'm not sure what other platforms it's on yet, if any, but the previous models of Kolors were available in other platforms, so it may show up other places too if it's not there already. The SeeDream 3.0 model is available on Dreamina. The SeeDream model is by ByteDance, and Dreamina, which is part of CapCut, I guess, is also made by ByteDance. And it may be available on other platforms as well. I just know for sure that it's available in Dreamina. And as far as Flux.1 Pro, that's available on multiple platforms. I use it in OpenArt. Now there's lots of other image generation models out there. There's no way I could compare them all in one video. So I just picked a few of the ones people have been talking about lately and thought we'd see what they look like. As for my opinion, after these demos, if you told me I could only pick one of them to have as an image generation model, I would probably stick with Flux. But the good news is we don't have to stick with just one image generation model. It's good to have some options and try the same prompt with different models to see which one gets you closer to where you want to be. My name is Bob. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope you'll come back and see me in another video.